So, we've officially got Sulfur Cubes. And guess what we are building today? Of course, it is a basketball court. No. My first thought when they added the whole Sulfur Cube thing was immediately, yes, Super Smelter. I know we looked at a Super Smelter very recently. I think it was actually less than a month ago, probably. Yeah, with this update, we're going to have to do that again. You see, the biggest roadblock that we currently have, or speed block that we currently have in Super Smelters, as far as I understand it, and that understanding comes just from... Either way, the biggest roadblock is item distribution. So... how long it takes to distribute items across a number of furnaces. Right, so of the various methods we have for transporting items, this is a popular one. The issue is that I have not put that chest there yet, have I? Let's try that again. The issue is, right, number of ore blocks. Yeah, they just all go into this first one. This is the fastest way we have of transporting items, I think. Well, generally the most convenient way, at least. And yeah, that just doesn't work. This doesn't get distributed. And for my, admittedly, few experiments, there's no way to go from just water streams to items distributed. It's just a fast method of transport. So we normally resort to hopper mine carts. So you just add your ore in there, and that should... I thought that would bounce back, you know. That should distribute it relatively evenly. All right? The issue is this has a built-in speed limit. I mean, everything... ever has a built-in speed limit, but this has a very low speed limit. As far as I know, you can get it to travel slow enough that it delivers multiple items to each hopper, in which case you'd have a slow-moving hopper minecart. What's it called? Minecart with hopper. The other option is getting it to move fast enough to just deliver one to each, and, well, then you're only delivering one to each, you know? So, kind of a lose-lose situation on that one. But I think Sulfur Cubes may be giving us a solution to that problem. Emphasis on may there, by the way. You see, in this episode, we are going to try and achieve super speed distribution. Yeah, let's go with that. It's going to be a bit different from the normal episodes because it's going to be mostly experimentation, no actual real like system design, but it should be fun all the same. Welcome back to... Right, since we're not splitting this up like normal, I'm just gonna continue on in this world here, and then we can see how quick we can get these things to move, just to start off with. I have no idea how to actually attach an inventory to them. There are multiple ways, but we'll get to that in a second. I just actually want to get this cube that I have in my hand here to actually move around. So I think you can spawn these. Alright, now you give them a block of ice. And nothing happens. Awesome. Oh, there's a block there. Alright, how about this? Go. Fly web. Okay. See, there we go. Seems we lost the actual cube in the process here. Actually, you should be able to lead these things. I think the best approach to get an inventory attached to this thing, because like, just look how fast it moves. Actually, that might be too fast. I have no clue whether there's an upper speed limit for distributing like this. So we just need to attach an inventory to this thing and then get it moving, right? Whoa. Now, I do want to say this is very much derivative, or it's inspired by a design that works in Bedrock. I saw the design quite a while ago. I can't remember the exact mechanics. I'll have to go look for it, but I'll pop a link in the description and probably the thumbnail up on screen now. So yeah, this whole thing is very much inspired by that. I remember that exact design doesn't work because boats don't travel as far. I think it's boats or something doesn't travel as far on ice in Java edition. So that design does not work in Java. But hopefully these guys will give us the fix we needed for that. Now, okay, how to get it moving is something we need to address, and how to attach an inventory to it. So we'll need to investigate whether it retains its properties if it's sitting in a boat or a minecart. Probably doesn't. And then we also need to figure out, if that's the case, then we probably need to figure out how we can chain, well, chain might be a strong word, how we can connect some sort of inventory to it. Probably a boat chest, right? Right, now the first idea is to drop this down a chute and have some sort of boat stack or something in this area, slightly overlapping into the hitbox, so the moment it can escape, it just shoots off like that. Okay, so hopefully that works. We'll give it a shot. First step is we need some boats in this block, and I can't remember what the hitbox for boats look like. All right, bonus points if we can push it into this corner. All right, many experiments later, and I've got no clue whether this is intentional or not from Mojang's side, but it doesn't look like you can use these to control other entities. I mean, you could probably... Maybe leads are just broken, because I can't get that back. Does that classify as a hostile mob? I guess that may be why you can't do that. Alright, so you can lead these guys. Okay, like this. Let's reclaim that. Alright, and you can lead boats. Like that. Alright. Reclaim that. You can... I think you should be able to attach... Okay, not villages, apparently. We'll do... wolves? I guess, maybe? Alright, you can attach them together, and then you can... It seems that he's still the guy that wants to move. I know the lead order matters. No, I can't get this back. So I think you have to do that and then attach it to him. Alright, and then, yeah, you can move the wolf around as much as you want by moving the cube. Alright, so that is the basis of my theory. Or that was the basis of my theory. Now, you can't do this, or it doesn't look like you can do this, with boats and these cubes. So you want to leave the boats. And then... Wait. It does work? Okay. I don't know what I was experimenting with. I just did that and it didn't work. But okay, it's good now. The problem I was having is... and first of all, let's turn entities off. The problem I was having was that it didn't attach in the first place. But okay, we got it to attach. This video is a go. I just given up on this. Okay, let's keep going then. All right, first of all, we need to get this covered up. So the boat doesn't escape. I even tried hopper mine carts. Yeah, I was desperate. Alright, and then we need to extend this, I believe, because I do think you need to overshoot a bit. Alright, and now we just need a place for the boat to rest, so this needs to be extended as well. Let's make this just ice blocks. Alright, that's one corner. Now, oh, it already has a different corner. Now, look at this. Okay. Off on one side. Alright, boat. And then we just push that guy. So it's quite slow, but remember that was literally just one collision. Right, let's just get it to move a bit faster potentially. What are some other ways we can get this to move? A spear, right? Actually, a sword should work. Right, that's pretty quick, I'd say. It's not even though, so that's something to think about. I didn't actually research how these things work beforehand, so we might need to do slime blocks to get it to move at any kind of decent speed. So let's see what we can do with. And I remember I was speaking about entity cramming. That didn't end up working in the iteration that I had in mind, at least. This guy seems to be drifting back on his lonesome. We'll do a 64 long line of these hoppers and furnaces, and then we just need to remember we need to do hoppers from the top, and then hoppers from the back. So we'll see how feasible that is. Also, I don't think the bottom actually needs to be ice. I think that can move directly over top hoppers. Oh, the lead broke. For no reason. Right, it was for a reason, because I did this idiotically. Ice is also not necessarily the block we need to use for this. I don't actually know which blocks do what. I just saw that ice makes it move all smooth like. But I think it might not actually be going faster. I think we could potentially replace this with glass and it would have the same effect. Can I replace it with glass? Apparently glass is not a block you can use. How about stone? Alright, stone you can use. What does stone do? Apparently work a lot better. I will do with experimenting with the actual block inside of the cube in a second here. Whatever gives the most momentum should probably be the way to go. Well, that works, doesn't it? It even bounces back. Oh, I think this is going to be really good. Right, I know we normally like design components and stuff, or we normally do the conceptual design by part or by subsystem and not as a whole, but I don't think we're going to have that many moving parts, and I just kind of want to get the basic structure in first, and then we can experiment with methods of getting this to move afterwards. I just want to get the basic lines of hoppers in everywhere where we need them. What that translates to is 4 chunks. Is it 4 chunks worth of pistons. That's pistons. I keep saying pistons. Furnaces, furnace, whatever you call them. All right, that's our 4 chunks worth of furnaces. It's a bit longer than I thought. The reason I'm doing it in one straight line is I think the momentum should be good for that distance, and then I also can't be bothered to work in bends and stuff. I'm sure many of you will come up with kind of iterations for that, or they probably already exist, but this is kind of the easiest way to experiment with this kind of new mechanic. So we're going to go with this for now. Next up, we need hoppers running directly into the top and then hoppers directly into the back, and we'll see whether we can keep it relatively compact. So if we can keep, like, for example, one boat here, one boat up here. All right, that's all the hoppers in. I didn't actually test whether that cube will still, well, the cube needs ice to move quickly. I don't think the boat actually needs anything. So I think we'll do a boat on this level, and then so off to the side basically, and then we'll do a boat on this level, and then ice just one block on top of that. Right, we are going to do a very simple collection system, I think, just basically a hopper line. The idea of this whole thing is to speed this whole thing up above a certain speed, and I don't think, or I have an idea that that's the wrong F3 key. F3G is what I meant to press. I have an idea that the hopper speed is gonna like slow this situation down to just normal super smelter speeds. That's not really my concern at the moment. There's always ways you can probably speed that up later. You know, hopper minecarts, whatever. I don't think there's any like hopper kind of entity like a hopper minecart, for example, that you can do with this whole ice slidey thing. So for now, we'll just do the collection with a normal hopper line. But yeah, like I said, that's not the focus of this video. The focus is to try to get the distribution as quick as possible. Also, the momentum might actually not keep for this entire time, or we need to work on like some super speedway. And then also that speed might be too fast for hoppers. Like I said, I haven't actually tested that yet, so we might have to cut this down to like 16 or whatever. But yeah, as a proof of concept, we'll just keep going without thinking too far ahead into the future. Now, I'm not sure what's the best way to accommodate boat hitboxes, but iron bars is what I've always used, and it's what I will continue to use for this. I need to remember there needs to be an overhang, otherwise we're going to... Actually, let's extend this to 2. We're not terribly concerned about specifics right now, and I just want to make sure that we don't dump all the items into the first hopper. Can I actually move this? No? Alright, let's try leads, I guess. Alright, first boat in place. Let's do it on this side now. And one off the edge. I don't think you actually need to use ice here, by the way. So, if you're wondering, it's just kind of a choice that I made. Let's make this ice as well, because we're going to have a cube in the vicinity. Right, that's the pattern we need to repeat all the way down. I wish we had mods like world edits and stuff like that. I guess you could still use commands, huh? I don't know how to do that with patterns though. Let's just fill it in manually. I'm thinking I may have been a little ambitious, overly ambitious with doing the 64 right off the bat. But yeah, I'm a bit haunted by my past mistakes. Last time I designed the mini version with only 16, and then the whole thing ended up being a lot more complicated to get it to work with 64 because it messes up the timing and all of that, right? So I'm going to try to avoid making that mistake by making a entirely different, potentially worse mistake. All right, now I do probably need to look up what a block has, or what block has the most momentum, because I'm just starting to think now stone might actually not work on this. No, there you go. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's see how far he travels. Go. Not fast enough, but far enough. All right, we need that speed higher because the distribution is not gonna work as it should. So let's see if we can get something that loses speed slightly less. All right, just based off the wiki entries, I think we can try frog lights as one type, and then planks as the next type. So I think that's the first 2 planks, or the first 2 types. Let's get him moved over there. He seems to move up very quick on ice. So let's see if the bamboo planks changes that. Now I need to just catch it. I maybe shouldn't have put the roof on here, huh? Like a different block. Go. Go. Whoa! I think that's the speed we need, right? You'd say that's the speed we need? How many times does that bounce? That's awesome. Let's remove these side pieces. Just get you in the corner. Oh, this is a lot. How do I get it to be concentrated? Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Okay, they're connected. Let's give it a shot with the spear. Hopefully, non-player related. Well, that hasn't worked. What was that? Okay, I guess we just have to do this again. All right, it's connected. I think it even moved. Let's try this again. Oh, it does multiple trips, doesn't it? And it doesn't go all the way, so we do need it to go faster. Or we at least need to catch it on this side. I don't exactly know how we're going to catch it. Maybe with honey? Does it stop on honey? That could be an idea. We just make this block honey, or these two. Let's see. Yeah, okay. All right, now a single distribution would look like that. We needed to move further. This is not good. We needed to move further. I think the extra height that I had before was potentially a boon in that sense. So we just need to move this out quite a few blocks, I think. I'm finding these guys very, very frustrating to work with. This needs to come back all the way so that it works. That needs to happen. All right. Okay, so let's just match the extension or the exact extension that we did on this side to the other side now. All right, now we've got a two-sided little thing here. So this should work perfectly. Apart from that, it still needs player input. Now, the big question, is this actually going to distribute items? In order to answer that question, I guess we can just put some items in here, right? No, I didn't mean to get into the boat. How do I access that inventory? I'm going to do 3 stacks. I'm going to see if they get distributed as I'm expecting them to do. So let's give that one a little push. That looks kind of draggy. So 1, 1. Okay, I'm going to have to go through each of these now. All right, this is our first problem. There's one missing here. Not the biggest problem if it's consistent, not the biggest issue, but it's looking quite decent so far, I would say. I'm not going to go through each of these. Actually, we can just check if there's anything left. I keep doing this. Yeah, there's one left. So it skipped one right about in the middle. Okay, that's not a train smash. Right, all of them have 3 in, and I'm calling that a huge success. We just now need to copy this system over on the fuel side, or potentially before we do that, we need to see what kind of interaction this does. This thing has with slime blocks, because if we can get it working with a slime block launcher thingy, then that would be obviously first prize here. All right, found out something quite depressing. That doesn't work. Doesn't push them. I don't know if it's because it's on top of honey. So that's potentially something to look at. All right. Okay, it's just because it was on top of honey. That's the issue. But we need the honey to slow it down. That's kind of a concern, right? All right, this whole slime thing, not working. Let's see if any hostile mobs attack this thing, because then we can just give it a spear. I think there's only a few mobs you can give a spear to. Oh my, I forget how many mobs are in this game. All right, first of all, Iron Golem does nothing. Right, I couldn't find a mob that attacks the Sulfur Cube or the Sulfur Cube block. I'm sure there might end up being one. Hopefully there is, and hopefully something that you can give a spear to. But for now, I guess we'll try projectiles, because we do need it to slow down, and it doesn't seem to be working with the pistons. No luck on the projectiles. Maybe if you give like a skeleton a knockback bow and you try and, yeah, but that's getting too complicated. That takes away from the essence of this method, which is, you know, kind of just simplicity. So we're gonna have to find some sort of way to either just have the player do that, you know, or potentially a zombie or something tries to attack something else. Now, I'm sure there's ways of doing that. I know there's a witch farm design that you can do where I think they're trying to attack something far away, or because they hold the spear out like this, right? I think you can also launch it if you just do that. How do spears work? Yeah, okay. So that could be something. Do zombies just hold it out by default? Let's give that a shot. Right, I know my kind of ethos is that we don't copy from other people, but this mechanic I needed because I knew there was a witch farm that worked with some mob holding a spear. I couldn't figure out how you could get the mob to attack, right? So it's a zombified piglin with a snow golem, and I managed to get it to kind of work in this configuration. And that sends it off, right? And then I've just changed the end there to just bounce back now. And I think, yeah, makes it all the way back. Now we need to repeat this for this guy right here. And then we'll have a working system, hopefully. I haven't actually tested whether the distribution works. So we should probably attach this guy with a lead over to the boat, and that sound is very annoying, so we might have to put that, just get the sound gone for a second. All right, I guess that's slightly better, not worlds better, but slightly. And then we'll get that just attached to the cube. All right, and then, not again, 5 stacks, let's do 4. Okay, and I'll just send it on its way. Now, the timing on this is something you need to figure out. We'll get there. All right, and then, ooh, yeah, that's an issue. We need to put the bounce further. 9 everywhere else, and ooh, it stopped. It stopped there. We don't want that to happen either. All right, some time may have passed here, and we've definitely changed some minor details of the design, but it's kind of broadly still the same philosophy. All right, I've gone and turned off that horrible sound, so we're good on that now. Okay, so if you remember, we had 2 tracks for 2 different cubes. Ended up not really being necessary if you want these 2 systems to be independent. So if you want the input and the fuel to be independent, you do want them separate, but you know, we don't really need them to be separate. You know, works fine as is. You will notice a slight distribution issue. We're going slightly too quickly here. For this version, I'm not unhappy with that. There's ways to adjust the speed with the knockback level that you chose. So this is knockback 1 on netherite. Probably the block inside here, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of this also still gets tweaked, you know, as the snapshots go on. I'm not really sure what kind of time scale this whole thing works on. I'm not sure how many updates they still plan on doing before the whole thing gets released. But as it stands, we're looking fine. All right. So the flow of items is pretty much as good as you can expect. We have had some issues. So all of these have been clogged up through like my various testing cycles. So I think we'll get all the furnaces cleared up and then we'll try and restart it. We'll put some fuel in the fuel chest, and then we will put some more ore in the input chest, and we'll see what happens. How many items kind of drain out of the chest? So how many we can do per cycle? Whether the fuel is consistent, and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, let me get these replaced, and we'll do some final testing. Before we get to that, you may have noticed I said final testing. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be making a lot of improvements on this design up until the end of this. So this is kind of just a proof of concept. I just want to get the method or the methodology and the mechanics out there, you know, because I think it's a lot of fun, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a video on this on YouTube. Not that I've seen all videos on YouTube. There very likely is something like this already out there, but yeah. For my first version, I'm happy to just leave it here, and then we can iterate once the full drop, or whatever they call them nowadays, happens. So yeah. Maybe the last thing we do before we actually start testing this is we just wire this up to a little pulse extender, because it's not consistent that the guy is actually... Oh no, what have I done? Actually, I guess that was a pretty good test, right? We can see how many got. So it would have been 2 stacks if it were perfect. It looks like 14 got left out over there and the back. All right. So not the greatest, but not the worst. I'm assuming that we didn't have any fuel in the fuel chest, and that's why nothing lit up. Yep, that is the case. So let's get that sorted. Let's see if we crash again. Hopefully not. Really, really hopefully not. All right, cool. I think that should be okay. All right, so I've added this little pulse extender, just 10 items, half arbitrarily, half I think because it's the most consistent. And you can just press it whenever and it should work. Right, it does probably have a chance of getting sent twice, but that's not the worst thing ever. Right, so I'm gonna get everything cleared out once again and then we'll finally do the final test. So we seem to be consistently getting more in some and less in others, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing ever, but like I said, proof of concept, this is fine. You can fine-tune the speed at a later date, right? I just want super fast distribution. That's kind of the main thing we're after here. Now, the idea with using this thing is you're gonna have to access the boats directly, because yeah, we're just kind of at that point. Can you even access this? I think you have to walk up to it. All right, so we've got a full row of fuel at the top, a full row of the oars, right? Now, I'm going to activate this thing and I'm going to run around, right? Because I like the look of everything lighting up, but you can't see it from this side. So let's do that. All right, let's go. Hopefully that actually works. There we go. Most of them, and then everything gets filled up at least on the return, and then I think that's pretty much as quickly as you can distribute, or that's as fast as you can distribute 64 items across all those furnaces, and they basically start trickling in immediately. The way to speed this up would be to speed up the return in some sort of way. Don't really know how, but fine for now. That's pretty much as fast as you're gonna get with a system this simple. Like this is just some hoppers, the actual furnaces, some ice, a little bit of an annoying thing to put together here, pulse extender, you know, that's fine. It's not the worst thing. And we are getting our items flooding in. All right. I think that's where we're going to leave it today. Personally, I would be more than happy with this in my single player world. I don't mind, you know, the odd bit of maintenance, and I like kind of how it looks. It does look quite cool, doesn't it? Hold on. Look at them zip. If they do. Like I said, it's quite inconsistent. There they go. And there they come back. If only you could see the furnaces at the same time. That would be quite nice. But not really realistic. By not really realistic, I mean it's totally realistic and definitely feasible. I'm just really lazy right now. And you get your items down here lightning fast. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, that's where we're going to leave it today. If you want to see me improve this thing in the future, let me know in the comments, and I'll try and have another look at getting the whole concept to work a little bit better once we get the full release of this drop or whatever. If not, I guess you're also welcome to tell me that. But yeah, if you wanna be informed of any future updates I make to this, make sure you're subscribed. And that's all from me for today. So I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.